Good morning. Coming to you live from the porch. I am here with a word from the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 2. And, wow. Okay. So it says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. So I was exploring this morning. And the first thing I was wondering was, what are the original words for being completely humble and gentle? Because it seemed like, that's an important package, according to this verse. And also, there was a semicolon after being completely humble and gentle. And I was wondering what the translators were inferring, that this reality of humility and gentleness caused us, or inferred, that we could be some kind of patient, and that some kind of patience allowed us to bear with one another in love, whatever that meant. And so I first of all was looking up the words for humble and gentle, and what the word meant when it says that in Ephesians. And it's really interesting. So humility is having such a relationship and knowing God directly. Having such a relationship and knowing the self, capital S, the I am, that is God, directly. Letting that knowing wash over who you know yourself to be, your I am. Knowing God, Himself, and therefore yourself, intimately. The result of that is humility. The result of that is a sort of self-awareness and self-confidence because of our identity in Christ. It is a self-knowing that allows us to have the most accurate perspective of who we are, and that informing what we think about ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world. That is humility. Knowing ourselves according to who God is and who God shows us that we are in Him, and carrying that out into the world. That's humility. Gentleness, which Ephesians 4 talks about, is literally the type of confidence that comes out of that level of identity awareness. That's the gentleness. It's the gentleness in Ephesians 4 is like a quiet power. Like, think about like a lion, or like someone who walks in the room that is so aware of who they are and their position and their sense of rightness with God, that whatever they have to carry, they know is profound, and also not trying to do something about anything to prove themselves or their gift, because they are so confident just in the presence of God and in that presence in themselves. That kind of authority, the kind of authority of a parent who is confident, that walks in and sees what's happening, and if anything needs to be addressed, they just speak with the same tone they walked in with their attitude not changed based on what's happening in the surroundings. That kind of authority. That's the gentleness Ephesians is talking about. So Ephesians says, be completely humble and gentle. That's a package for that reason. It's this God knowing, and therefore the self-knowing, that is the result in humility, which allows gentleness, which is a type of presenting and carrying and doing in the world. That is this level of confident authority. Being completely humble and gentle, says Ephesians 4. Therefore, giving us the ability to be patient with all people and bearing with one another in love. So now what does that mean? If this is our reality, and in a perfect world, which is what the Lord is speaking about through the writer in Ephesians, everyone would be living like this. And if they're not, we can encourage them to do so by how we do it. But to be able to be completely patient with one another is talking about each of us having this level of self-confidence and presence of the Lord. that is directing our continual transformation into who we should be in Him. Each of us doing that, the idea of being patient with one another is trusting God to reveal Himself and who that person should be to that person. Being patient with their process and supporting the process. That's the bearing with one another in love. Is supporting the process of each of us to each other, becoming continuously this identity that the Lord has given us to present to the world, which is an aspect of Himself, which we get only by meditation in His presence. So that is what I got out of Ephesians 4 this morning, that we are to be completely humble and gentle, bearing with one another in love patiently. But what I just explained being the actual momentum of that, the meaning of that. So what does it mean to live in a way that, first of all, we can't be patient and bear with each other about each of our good transformation into God's likeness if we don't have that experience ourselves. And secondly, we can do that with God's presence by continuously remembering to desire the other person that we love, or that's in our community that we love, their continued transformation into the likeness of God that He is revealing to them, which means we are never in control of what that transformation means or looks like. But we are continuously supporting both how they understand their identity to mean and what their goals are to become who they should be. We're supporting that to the people we love. And we're having grace on the imperfect moments and or simply whatever that identity looks like for them that they're being in the moment. We're having grace on how that doesn't specifically flow with how we understand the world in the moment. We're having grace on each other to be responsible to God and not us for how they understand themselves, how they carry themselves out into the world, what they need in order to be a functional member of the community, and giving that to them. So that's Ephesians 4:2. And it is Wednesday, so happy Wednesday. And that's all. Bye.